Welcome to Broncos Country Tonight with Ryan Edwards and Benjamin Allbright.
Benjamin, let's talk a little bit about what is ahead for the Broncos. They're picking 15th. They have to, unless they're going to be trading up, they have to kind of wait things out and see what is available to them. So what are you hearing right now as it relates to maybe the amount of quarterbacks that might go in the top 15, the amount of offensive tackles, and I know your favorite position, the amount of wide receivers that might go ahead of where the Broncos are picking?
Well, we're still team #orange and blur over here, even in quarantine. But yes, you can look at the math on the number of players that are going to be drafted ahead of the Broncos. I got several questions on social media over the course of the week, and people kind of getting into that pre-draft panic. Is our guy going to be there? Is there going to be a good player there? Do we need to trade up? And I always say, let's look at the math. We know who's going to go. We know some of these guys that are going to go ahead of the Broncos already. And by process of elimination, we can figure out what group of players is going to be left for the Broncos at 15. We know that Burrow and Herbert and Tua, those three quarterbacks are going to be gone. Jordan Love might even be in there, but we won't count him for now. So that's three players, right? Jeff Okudah, Chase Young, that's five players right there. The four offensive tackles, well, that's nine players right there. And then we start getting into the Isaiah Simmons of the world. That's 10 players right there. Well, all of a sudden we've hit 10 players. There's still those big three receivers that we like, right? And we're at 15. So now just two other players have to go. And then we haven't even talked about Derek Brown, Javon Kinlaw, players like that could go ahead as well. So I think if you're a Broncos fan, I think you look at this 15 and say, you know what, we're actually in really good shape. Something's going to fall into our lap there at 15. We don't have to sit here and get panicked about pulling the trigger on giving up assets to move up just yet.
Well, you're going to be panicked when Henry Ruggs is still on the board. I think when the Raiders, the 49ers, and the Jets are all picking right there, right after 10. But, I mean, in that vein, you've also reported that there are some teams that might consider trading up and leapfrogging the Broncos. Who are you hearing?
Well, the Atlanta Falcons are looking to move up right now. They really want Javon Kinlaw really bad, and I think they've got their eye on that Jets pick there at 11. And what that does, if they move up there, that takes one more player off the board for one of these receivers. Now, we all know I'm in the tag for Henry Ruggs, but that said, if the Broncos came away with a Judy or a Lamb, I wouldn't sit here and be crying about it too much. But if two or three of those guys start to go before the Broncos pick at 15, I might have to keep a little brown paper bag to huff into over here off the side.
We had a conversation early this week on the radio show about the pillars of players, right? We talked about personality, we talked about versatility, and we talked about ability. And so I'd love to talk to you about how many players actually check all of those boxes. So when the Broncos are putting together a draft board, and I know that there's a certain ranking system that they all go through, how many players do you think actually hit all three of those pillars at the level that the Broncos are looking for?
Probably around maybe 80 to 100 guys. There's probably, and maybe less than that. It varies draft to draft, but honestly, there's probably about 75 to 80 guys that you're sitting there like, okay, we can, these guys can definitely play for us. And then after that, you're taking chances on guys that might be missing something, whether it's some off the field, some character stuff. Day three is where you're sitting there throwing these darts on guys that, well, we're not sure about, but we hope we can coach them up.
By the way, I love that you snuck a 75 in there. I don't think I didn't notice that.
Just for my guy, Steve Atwater, just for your guy, Steve Atwater there.
That's right. He made a movie, by the way. It feels a little simplistic, though, just to sort of break it down like that. Now, by the way, when you broke this thing down on the radio, you said that ability is number one on that. And then you said personality is second with versatility third. So I guess, and maybe that depends a little bit on the position, right?
Well, kind of, yes. I mean, if you don't have the athletic ability to be able to play in the NFL, you're coming off the board any which way. You could be the nicest guy in the world and play 15 different positions, but if you don't have the athletic ability to win at the wide receiver position, then we can't really afford to roster you. So you got to have the athletic ability first, at least the baseline athletic ability first and foremost. After that, the personality, the work ethic, the drive, the ability to fit into a locker room and the want and will to succeed. And then after that, the versatility. Maybe a guy only plays one position or two, but if he's good at that one thing, if that one thing that he does is quite good, well, then you're going to keep him around. But it always helps to be good at more than one thing.